Welcome to the Flora podcast, a place where we help you create a life you're excited about. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Flora, and today we are going to talk about the importance of having your top 3 priorities. I talk about this in my book, The 1 Degree Shift, and I'm so excited to share with you a little snippet of an interview that Mathew McConaughey did with the Daily Stoic. If you are new to my podcast, welcome. I'm Flora Sage. I am your simplification coach. I help you declutter the 9 types of clutter that are preventing you from aligning into a life or business that you absolutely love. So, without further ado, I want to share with you a small clip. This is a 58-second clip from the Daily Stoic in which they interviewed Mathew McConaughey about how he had a ton of priorities and how he shifted into more intentional focus in his life and in his pursuits. So, have a listen.
In the late 90s, I got a phone call from my office. I reached out to pick up the phone and my hand stopped. And I remember looking at the phone and then looking at my hand going, why'd your hand stop mid-grab? You don't want to pick up the phone call from your office. What are you doing? I let that phone ring out, and as it did, I picked the phone back up, dialed my lawyer and said, I want to shut down my music label and I want to shut down my production office. I want to pay a solid severance to everybody, but I want to work on my charity, I want to work on my family, and I want to be an actor for hire. I had like 8 proverbial campfires on my desk every morning. So what I did is I got rid of about 5 of the campfires, and I was left with the 3 things that were most important to me. And those 3 campfires turned into bonfires. So I majored in my majors, and I got rid of 5 minors that I was trying to major in. And I was kind of making C+ in everything. And when I got rid of 5 classes and concentrated on the 3 that I really wanted, I started making A's.
I absolutely love this clip because he is the epitome of what it's like to all of a sudden get that little intuitive knowing. He reached for that phone, but he didn't pick it up. And it was his office. It was the things that he had built. It was the intentional things that he had built, his production office, his all these other things. He created them. But then he realized, wait a minute, I don't really want to be doing this anymore. My energy is scattered. I'm focusing on too many things. And what happens when you focus on too many things, your energy gets watered down. You're spread too thin. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much energy you have. If you focus your energy on too many things, you're going to be spread thin because we only have so many hours in the day. Yes, we all have those same 24 hours. And it is what we choose to do with them. And it is our intention that allows us to magnify our efforts. One of the things I talk about in my book, The 1 Degree Shift, is creating a list of your top 3 priorities based off of the phase of life that you're in. There are times when we have a bunch of different priorities, okay? So maybe you are in the middle of raising your kids and nurturing your relationship with your partner and maybe going to college and doing a side hustle. So you have a lot of priorities, okay? But something is going to, Something is going to be impacted by you focusing your energy on all these different things, okay? And can that be done? Can you focus your energies on all these different aspects? Yes, for a time. But what happens is if you continue that year after year after year, you get burnt out. I know because it happened to me. You get burnt out. You start resenting people. You start neglecting your health. You start neglecting your partner or your kids or your homework or your business. Something falls through the cracks because you just can't maintain that level of pressure for very long. So number one, what phase of life are you in? Are you building a business? Are you in a new relationship? Are you nurturing an existing relationship? Are you dating your partner continuously? This is huge. This is so important. Are you maintaining a career? Are you pursuing new things in your career? Are you learning something new? Are you going to college? Are you trying to have kids? Are you pregnant? Are you preparing for a child to come in? Are you raising babies? Are you an empty nester? Are you downsizing? What phase of life are you in? Now, yes, you might have a couple phases that you're in. You might be an empty nester and you might be recovering from surgery. So right now, convalescing is your main priority, getting better. You may be raising kids and nurturing your, partnership with someone, but you might also be building a business, or you might also be in college. So you have to recognize what your primary phase is. What is the most important phase of life that you're in right now? And what are those temporary priorities that are popping in? Which could be building the business, which could be convalescing, which could be downsizing or preparing for something like a trip or whatever. So there are times when we have this temporary priority that trumps your other ones. But let's look at your main priority. So once you figure out what phase of life that you're in, ask yourself, what do I choose as my priorities? Not what you think you need to prioritize, but what do you want to prioritize? If you're raising babies, one of your priorities should be your health. So sleep for you, good food for you, good health care for you. Because if you're not 100%, you're not going to be 100% when you're raising those babies. And your kids are not going to get the best version of you that they could. I know this from experience. When you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're ill, you cannot show up completely and patiently for your children. So what else? If you're trying to get pregnant, your health, top priority. I think everybody's health should be everybody's number one priority, because without health, you have nothing. You have nothing. So health, what else is your priority? Again, this is based off of your phase, the phase of life that you are in. I'm going to keep hammering this home because this solves so many problems. This removes so much clutter. When you can recognize what phase of life you're in and what priorities are then a part of that phase. When I was raising my babies, my health, my wealth, and my relationship with my children, those were my priorities. Because I knew if I wasn't healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, I would not be healthy for those kids. I knew that if my finances faltered, I would be a hot mess and I wouldn't be able to take care of them. And I knew that if I did not nurture that relationship with them from the time they came out of me, that it was going to be a strained relationship from now on. So I worked so diligently on creating open communication with my children to where even if we were both having a bad day and we were both yelling at each other, we ended the argument with, "I love you, but I need some space right now." And we came back and we understood that life can be a shit show sometimes, but that's okay. I never, ever wanted my kids to question my level of love for them and that it's truly unconditional. And again, I knew that if I was not financially sound, that was going to impact how I showed up for them. I knew that if I wasn't healthy, that was going to impact how I showed up with them. Because I saw it with my own parents. Give yourself permission to get brutally honest about what phase of life you're in and what you want your priorities to be. Because I promise you, when you cut out all that extra BS, all those extra priorities that really truly are not a priority, you might think they are because somebody else has them as a priority. But then what happens, you get rid of half of your to-do list right out of the gate. You free up so much time and so much energy and so much mental to-do things that you think you need to do by having all these extra things. You get rid of all that. And then what you're left with is what actually matters. This reminds me of a quote by Courtney Carver. And she says, "I don't say no because I'm busy. I say no because I don't want to be busy. I don't say no because I'm busy. I say no because I don't want to be busy." Just think of, I feel a collective sigh right now as all of you listen to this. I mean, think about what it's like to just have a Saturday where you don't do like you literally do whatever you want. You can lay on the hammock and just listen to the birds in the backyard. You can walk to the park and pack a picnic and just chill with the kids for 3 hours and not have to worry about anything. I remember one of the things that I did for years and years and years, the whole time that I was raising my babies, is every single tax season. So, okay, during the year, I would claim single and zero for all of my taxes and stuff like that. And then at the end of the year, I would claim head of household with my kids and my partner. And I would usually get a big fat check back from the IRS. That was my way of saving because my partner at the time would always just spend all the money that came in. That's a whole other podcast. So in any case, what I would do with that check is I would buy memberships to the zoo, to the children's museum, to any place of enrichment for families that I could that offered a yearly membership. Whenever we lived up in Minnesota, we went to Camp Snoopy. Now it's called Camp Nickelodeon in the Mall of America, which is like all the rides. So good. And it was like $300 per person. But I made that a priority because I knew those experiences literally and those memories would last a lifetime. So that was my priority because I knew throughout the rest of the year, I wanted activities for us to do, but I didn't want to have to pay for it as we did it. And a lot of the times it was more expensive if you did, like a one-off day and whatever versus having that yearly membership. And then all we would need to budget for was food, but usually I would just pack a picnic. My kids still talk about those experiences. They talked about rides at Camp Snoopy. They talked about seeing this peacock at the Tulsa Zoo. They talked about like all the times we went camping and hiking and all these beautiful things. And the thing is that all it took was a tiny amount of planning and the recognition of I'm going to make this a priority. I'm going to make purchasing this yearly pass for this place, and this place a priority. Come hell or high water, I will make it happen. And then the rest of the year, we have that opportunity to connect. We have that opportunity for experiences. I could have used the excuse, I don't have the money. I need to spend this money for something else, or I need to save this money in case something else happens. I'm like, no, I'm choosing to make this a priority. My kids are 27 and 24 at the time of this recording. Like I said, they still talk about those times that we've had. And of course, the current times. But they're just like, oh my God, remember when blah, 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 blah. And yeah. So really give yourself permission to think about what are your priorities? What phase of life are you in? Because when you don't have a clear set of priorities, and I would not do more than 3. I would pick your top 3 because everything else will fall into place. Several weeks ago, I spoke about one of my clients, and her top 3 priorities are her health, her relationship with her partner, and her business. And she said, well, what about my relationship with my mom and my stepmom? I'm like, that's going to fall into place. What about my relationship with my brother? That's going to fall into place. When you can give yourself permission to recognize that when you check off those boxes intentionally with those top 3 priorities every day, everything else, I promise you, will naturally fall into place. Because you feel content, you feel intentional, you feel satisfied, you feel full and complete with those other priorities, you're going to naturally reach out to that stepmom or that mom or your brother. You're going to naturally do those other things that have meaning for you, that are important for you, that yes, probably are a priority, but right now, other things are at the top of the list. Because if you put everybody else at the top of your list before you, you are going to suffer. You are not going to be 100%. And if you're not 100%, you can't show up 100% for somebody else. If you struggle with this, if you struggle to identify what phase of life you're in, what your priorities are or what they should be, and if you want my help with this, please let me know. This is what I specialize in. I've been doing this for decades, literally 2.5 decades. I've been helping people declutter the 9 types of clutter that are keeping them stuck. If you feel stuck in any way, please reach out. Click the link in the show notes. Let's talk. I have single sessions available, and I also have private one-on-one monthly sessions available as well. Click the link. Let's talk. Remember, all it takes is a clear vision of what you want and the willingness to take one tiny shift every single day to help you align into a life and a business that you absolutely love. I love you. I hope this helps you today, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. All links mentioned are in today's show notes.